As US put sanctions on Huawei and other Chinese companies, basically the whole semiconductor industry is interrupted. Do you agree that the uncertain external geopolitics is one of the factors that led to global chip shortage?
In our paper, Understanding the Chip Shortages, we explained, as you already said, with the help of 4 cases, that what is understood as multiple shortages happening concurrently at different process and production steps throughout the value chain. It's not that easy to talk about this one shortage, and it's also not easy to point it back to like one cause. So as we framed it, we said that the shortages are caused by the interplay of the value chain's underlying dynamic. So the things that are happening inherently, and also 2 external factors. The first external factor we were talking about is the skyrocketing demand caused by a change in lifestyles due to COVID-19. So all over the world, people started working from home, there was homeschooling, etc. And this in turn led to more demand in consumer electronics. Additionally, there were also, we called it unforeseeable external shocks, such as natural disasters leading to production outages. And both of these events led to a situation where demand exceeded supply, as we already know. And now coming back to your question, you can see that also one unforeseeable external shock can be pointed back to external geopolitics, because there are indications that geopolitics also played a role in the demand increase. Because after already you said the export bans against Chinese companies, other Chinese companies were afraid that they might be the next target. So we were looking for data, and there is definitely some data that indicates that they reacted by stockpiling chips, which all, of course, in turn led to an even larger mismatch between supply and demand. So yes, I would definitely say that geopolitics, but especially the concluding uncertainties in long-term supply, can definitely be seen as a factor.
Do you think US government demanding customer and product data from semiconductor companies is an effective strategy to increase supply chain transparency?
For governments, it's a completely new topic, and it's kind of like a black box, because it's, as I already said, a very complex ecosystem. It takes some time before you get even the basics and understand the inherent dynamics. So governments are asking themselves what their role can be in strengthening the resilience of the semiconductor supply chain. And a lot of initiatives are formed to collaborate together, like throughout the whole transnational value chain, for example, in the form of public-private cooperation, subsidies, or multilateral partnerships. And especially the US is kind of in the lead with attracting companies such as TSMC and Samsung by subsidizing new fabs. But they also have US CHIPS Act, they are forming alliances. And as you mentioned, they also had the BIS call with the goal to create more transparency. And the latter was criticized because they were asking very sensitive, confidential information from the companies, such as TSMC and Samsung, alluded to the fact that in their eyes, they did everything they could to fix the shortage, but that these types of information include operational secrets they cannot share. And to me, the main question is if these types of information are even helpful from a policy perspective, like in the hands of governments, if it's even something they can really use, because as I said, it's a very complex ecosystem, and also the private companies are trying to get more transparency throughout the whole value chain, and they have knowledge to know what to do with the information. We are kind of in the early stages to ask ourselves what kind of policy reactions might be really effective and can also lead to policy actions that really strengthen the resilience. And I think you can see right now that it doesn't really make sense if the government does something else than the private companies. They have to cooperate to really strengthen the resilience of the value chain.